When you're framing an object, you'll have to make different choices. You'll have to choose a mat board that your object is sitting on. The mat boards come in different qualities and colors. The frames, you'll have to choose the style, the color, and the depth of your frame to accommodate your object. And the glasses also come in different qualities. Mat boards are really important because they become the background for your piece. Your object will be carefully attached to the mat board in whichever way best suits your piece. It can be hand-sewn or glued to the mat board.
Upon looking at the 3 different mat options, you wouldn't realise that there's such a big difference. But once you get into the details of each, they really do play a massive impact on the overall longevity of the framing. We start off with just like a standard decorative mat board. This is made of like a paper or card. It starts off as acid or alkaline free, but with time those levels rise because of the lignin in the mat. Whereas once you go to a conservation mat board, conservation is acid and lignin free, and it also often has like an alkaline buffering. So this will prevent it from fading and discoloring for many decades when compared with a few years for the standard option. Although you could, if you'd like a better option, go for a museum rag mat, and this option is 100% cotton, acid and lignin free, buffered to an alkaline pH, fade and bleed resistant, and will ensure that when combined with a UV protectant glass, your framing will last a lifetime. When it comes to the glass samples, we have a variety of different options to look at. To start off with, we have the normal glass. As you can kind of see, compared with the UV70 glass, it's quite high in reflection and has no UV protection there. The UV is one of our most popular options. As you can see, it's very low in reflection. It also blocks 70% of the UV light to protect your artwork from fading. From there, we have the UV glass, which is also a great option because it blocks 99% of the UV light. Might be great for, say, like news articles, old memorabilia that really needs that UV protection. Might not as much need that clarity, as it has 8% light reflection when compared to 1%. So it's a good kind of mid-price point between these 3. From there, you have the best of the best in glass, which is the museum glass. This blocks 99% of the UV light, and it also has only 1% light reflection, so it's really going to do the most to protect the artwork. If you choose this option and combine it with a museum mat board, it really ensures that the whole piece will last a lifetime. If you compare something like museum glass to normal glass, it's almost like normal glass acts as though it's a heat transfer and creates moisture in the frame. You'll often see that matting will discolor and turn yellow, especially in the bevel, and might even find a bit of foxing sometimes on the artwork, picture, or the matting, which overall just makes the whole piece look quite aged and dated. From there, we also have, the classic non-reflective glass. This option has been around for decades. You probably see it quite often. We usually steer away from this option just because we find it does make things a touch opaque and can often have a bit of a blurred effect if it's not directly against the piece. If it's flat up against the object or the print, which we normally don't recommend for creating molding and that type of thing, it can be quite clear. It's not going to have that reflection, but on different angles it might seem a little bit opaque. When it comes to the frame, we have a variety of different options to pick from. This one's quite a popular modern style, as you can see, because it's a nice subtle way to finish off a piece. You can either have it sit flush with the frame, or you can have a nice 5mm gap to give it a bit of that shadow line. From there, you've got like a classic frame that has a little rebate so that it can fit and have the glass and matting to be secure. From there, we've got so many different styles of frames to pick from, whether that be like a classic raw oak frame or a more traditional option, and that can also incorporate different fillets as well. Often incorporating fillets is a lovely way to just kind of tie the frame into the artwork and give your piece an overall finished look. Rolled artwork on a canvas-like material requires to be stretched over a stretcher bar. What we do is we custom make a timber frame, which is hidden behind the piece. Your artwork is then folded over and stapled on all ends, and then from there it can be hung on the wall without requiring any type of frame. Although we quite often enhance it by adding different float frames, but that's optional. We print on paper and canvas in store. When it comes to printing on paper, we have a satin and a matte finish. We also custom print in store on canvas and paper. We have a lovely matte finish to our canvas. We also finish the canvas off after printing with a UV varnish. This protects the overall piece from fading in the future, so it retains the colour. In regards to paper printing, we are often picking between either a satin or a matte finish. Satin looks wonderful with photographic images, whereas matte is quite lovely for an artwork print. We also custom stretch in store, depending on the size of your piece, whether it's a fabric material, a silk, or a classic canvas. We can stretch it over 18mm stretcher bar, 38mm stretcher bar, or a 33mm heavy duty stretcher bar, say for pieces over 2 meters. In an instance where we have an intricate layout with multi-openings, photos or objects, this often happens with memorabilia or when framing clothing, that type of thing. We often recommend, utilizing spaces and depth and work as a team to kind of come together and figure out the best way to present it. It's typically not done on the spot. Normally it's hours in the making of the team going back and forwards, discussing what we think would work, emailing the customer, taking photos and different options so that you can have a think about what presents your piece in the best way.